Dali Mpofu is a prominent South African figure known for his multifaceted career as a lawyer, politician, and former businessman. He held the position of national chairperson of the Economic Freedom Fighters from 2014 until 2019. Additionally, he was a member of the Judicial Service Commission from 2017 to 2022 and previously served as the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Broadcasting Corporation from 2005 to 2009. Mpofu began his legal journey in 1993 when he was admitted as an advocate of the High Court and achieved senior counsel status in 2014. Renowned for tackling politically sensitive cases, his notable clients include striking mine workers during the Marikana Commission, Tom Moyane at the Zondo Commission, and Busisiwe Mkhwebane during the Section 194 inquiry. Since 2021, he has taken on the role of lead counsel for former President Jacob Zuma in his ongoing corruption trial. Originally a dedicated member of the African National Congress, Mpofu made a significant shift in his political affiliation by joining the EFF in 2013. Christopher Taluxolo Mpofu was born on 2 September 1962 in Duncan Village, East London, South Africa, as one of three siblings to Nosebenzile Doris Mpofu. Growing up in a challenging environment, Mpofu recounted in an interview with Sizo Mpofu that his family faced severe poverty. His mother, Nosebenzile, worked tirelessly as a domestic helper for a white family, managing to stretch her little earnings to ensure her children could attend school. Tragically, Mpofu lost his father, a laborer at the Wilson Roundtree Sweets factory, when he was still a teenager. His father, who struggled to support the family due to his untimely illness, also worked casually as an umbrella mender in their neighborhood. Mpofu describes his father as steadfast and somewhat lenient compared to his more demanding mother. At just 13 years old, Mpofu's interest in politics was sparked by a collection of provocative books gifted to him by his uncle, Mfusi Moss. Among these were Cried the Beloved Country and Black Like Me, both banned for their challenging views on race. This exposure galvanized Mpofu's political consciousness and fueled his involvement in radical movements, including the anti-apartheid struggle and the Soweto uprising organized by the African National Congress in 1976. A pivotal moment in Mpofu's youth occurred in 1977 when he learned of the death of Steve Biko, a prominent activist and founder of the Black Consciousness movement. Reading about Biko's passing in an old newspaper his mother had brought home ignited a yearning in him to participate in the funeral. However, his parents only permitted his older sister, Thobeka, to attend. At the age of 17, Mpofu was arrested for arson and misconduct, a grim experience that led to the brutal treatment by police alongside his ANC peers. Though not deeply entrenched in the ANC at the time, an informant revealed their underground activities, leading to a police raid on their homes. Mpofu describes those days in detention, approximately 3 months under a law known as the R252 of Sesgate, as some of the hardest of his life, marking his first encounter with the harsh realities of state brutality. In 1979, Mpofu became a committed member of the ANC and co-founded the Congress of South African Students, which he took on a leadership role in by 1980. Later, in February 1981, he faced arrest once more for possessing ANC literature, including flyers detailing military raids against ANC members in neighboring states. During this trial, Mpofu found a passion for law, inspired by their capable defense attorney, Dever Pillay. Following his exoneration in April, Mpofu took on a position as a sport welder at car distributors and assemblers, now Mercedes-Benz South Africa, earning a modest income of approximately 51 rands per week. However, at just 19, he left this role to pursue further studies, a decision influenced by a recent retrenchment of several union-affiliated colleagues. In February 1982, Shortly after returning to school, Mpofu traveled to Johannesburg to attend the funeral of Neil Agate, a white trade unionist who died in police custody. His progressive school principal permitted him to miss classes to attend the significant event, which left a lasting impact on him. Notably, it was at John Vorster Square, now the Johannesburg Central Police Station, where he would later face his sixth and final detention without trial in 1986. Despite his difficult upbringing, Mpofu emerged as the standout student, achieving a first-class university exemption in his matriculation, the only one out of 173 candidates. By 1986, Mpofu had enrolled at the University of the Witwatersrand, where he served as president of the Congress-aligned Black Students Society. He claimed victory in a competitive election against prominent Black consciousness activist Xolela Mancu. In 1987, Mpofu began working in the law offices of attorney Kathleen Satchwell and completed his degree at Wits in 1988. Following the unbanning of the ANC in 1990, he spent a year in the ANC's Social Welfare Department under the leadership of Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Notably, he was part of the legal team representing Madikizela Mandela during her trial related to the murder of Stompie Seipei. In 1992, Mpofu ascended to the position of Publicity Secretary for the Johannesburg branch of the ANC Youth League. Rumors began to circulate in 1991, reported by City Press, suggesting an affair between Mpofu and Madikizela Mandela, while her husband, the political prisoner Nelson Mandela, was incarcerated on Robben Island. Allegations persisted that this relationship continued after Mandela's release. In May 1992, amidst investigations into potential fraud within the ANC, both Mpofu and Madikizela Mandela were removed from their positions. A leaked ANC document alleged that Madikizela Mandela misappropriated funds for her relationship with Mpofu. They both strongly denied the affair and the accusations of fraud. In June 1992, a letter reportedly written by Madikizela Mandela in March surfaced, which suggested a more complicated relationship with Mpofu and hinted at the transfer of approximately 160,000 from the NC funds to him. A member of the South African police later claimed that these rumors were leaked as a part of a strategy to discredit both Madikizela Mandela and the NC. Ultimately, Mpofu did not follow through with his wrongful dismissal lawsuit against the ANC. Also in 1992, Mpofu completed an LLB at Wits. The following year, he was admitted as an advocate of the High Court of South Africa and as a member of the Johannesburg Bar. He practiced law at the Department of Justice and, from 1996 to 1997, as a trainee international advocacy teacher at Gray's Inn in London. After a brief stint as an acting judge in the Labour Court of South Africa in 2000, he worked as Executive Director for Corporate Affairs at Altron Group, an ICT company, from 2000 to 2005. He also acquired a number of business interests during that period, including through Black economic empowerment deals. In June 2005, Mpofu took on the role of Chief Executive Officer at the South African Broadcasting Corporation, the country's state broadcaster. Concurrently, until 2008, he served as chairman of the board for Boxing South Africa. By 2009, he maintained a directorship at Deutsche Securities South Africa and held shares in the Elephant Consortium, which owned a 6.7% stake in Telkom. Early in his tenure at SABC, Mpofu made headlines in September 2007 when he announced the broadcaster would cut ties with the South African National Editors Forum. This decision stemmed from the forum's reaction to critical reports concerning then Health Minister Mantu Tshabalala Msimang. It was later revealed that under Mpofu's leadership, the SABC sought substantial bailouts from the central government to stabilize its finances. A significant aspect of Mpofu's time at SABC was marked by tensions with the broadcaster's board and its head of news and current affairs, Snoekie Zikalala. His term coincided with the political turmoil surrounding the ANC's 52nd National Conference, which resulted in Jacob Zuma replacing Thabo Mbeki as ANC president. This shifting political landscape led to suspicions that the SABC was entangled in the ANC's internal factional disputes. As early as October 2006, media reports indicated that Mpofu and Zikalala clashed when Zikalala attempted to limit coverage perceived as critical of Mbeki. In April 2008, Mpofu expressed that the SABC was resisting political pressure, although it did not specify the source. On May 6, 2008, Mpofu suspended Zikalala while a disciplinary investigation was pending. The following day, the SABC board deemed Zikalala's suspension invalid and suspended Mpofu instead. Mpofu defended his actions by claiming that Zikalala leaked SABC documents to the media, but reports suggested that Mpofu's move was preemptive due to concerns about his own position. The board accused him of failing to adhere to its decisions. Less than 2 weeks later, the Johannesburg High Court ruled that Mpofu's suspension was invalid since he had been excluded from the meeting where the board reached its decision. Although the board was denied the opportunity to appeal, they suspended Mpofu again in mid-June, citing various disciplinary violations, mainly related to financial mismanagement and undermining the board's authority. Mpofu dismissed these accusations as kind of rubbish. In January 2009, Mpofu was dismissed from his position. He initially contested this decision in the Labour Court, but by August, he agreed to withdraw his legal challenge in exchange for a severance package of 14.1 million rands. Despite acknowledging the significant financial troubles facing the SABC, Mpofu asserted that he had taken full responsibility for his decisions, but maintained that he had been out the loop since March 2008 due to conflicts with the board. Following his departure, Solly Mokotle succeeded him as CEO of the SABC. In a lighter moment, Mpofu made a humorous remark that he planned to become a full-time house husband. In June 2010, there were unconfirmed reports suggesting he was a contender for the CEO position at Telkom, which he denied. Mpofu returned to the public eye in 2011 and 2012 when he represented three ANC Youth League leaders, Julius Malema, Sindiso Makaka, and Floyd Shivambu, in the internal ANC disciplinary proceedings that ultimately led to Malema's expulsion from the party. According to the Mail and Guardian, it was Malema who, later in 2012, recruited Mpofu to represent the mine workers who had been arrested in the aftermath of the Marikana massacre. Mpofu represented the mine workers at the Marikana Commission of Inquiry, which ran from 2012 to 2014 under the chairmanship of Ian Falam. Controversially, he refused to work pro bono and withdrew from the proceedings briefly between June and October 2013, during which time he lodged a successful court application to have the state cover the mine workers' legal fees. Towards the end of the Marikana Commission hearings in August 2014, the media reported that Mpofu had applied for senior counsel status in the High Court in 2012, but that President Jacob Zuma had not yet approved the award. While under cross-examination by Mpofu, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa alluded to a friendly conversation he had with Mpofu the day before, in which he said Mpofu had asked him to put in a good word with Zuma to expedite the process. Mpofu angrily denied having asked Ramaphosa's assistance. He was awarded silk status the following month. Mpofu represented Moyane, the suspended Commissioner of the South African Revenue Service, at the Nugent Commission, which was held in 2018 to investigate allegations of maladministration at SARS during Moyane's tenure. In July 2018, he entered into a highly public spat with Pierre de Vos, a constitutional law expert at the University of Cape Town, who had written a blog which criticized Moyane's submissions to the commission and implied that Mpofu had behaved unethically In advancing those submissions on Moyane's behalf, Mpofu posted a series of angry reposts on Twitter, alleging that DeVos's piece was defamatory, insulting, and possibly racist, and threatening to sue him if he did not delete it. DeVos refused. Mpofu also represented Moyane at the State Capture Commission, which investigated allegations that Moyane had presided over state capture at SARS. In March 2021, Mpofu cross-examined Minister Pravin Gordhan on Moyane's behalf and shortly afterwards entered into an angry exchange with Gordhan and his lawyer, Michelle Leroux, in which he said that Ms. Leroux must shut up when I am speaking, and then, after Gordhan attempted to interject, told Gordhan, "You shut up."
Okay.
Mr. Moyane makes allegations.
Chair, I'm on the floor. Really, I can't stand this.
Okay,
This cannot
okay,
be happening for
okay.
the third time.
Mr.
Ms. Leroux must shut up when I'm
Mr.
speaking.
Mpofu, let me
Okay?
just hear before I hear you. Must you just hear,
You too, Mr. Koda.
Mr.
So,
Mpofu, just sit
I'm
down,
still
let
on
me hear her first.
the floor. You also shut up.
No, Mr. Mpofu, I'm in charge.
The chairman of the commission, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, lamented Mpofu's behavior at length, calling it unacceptable. In March 2022, the Johannesburg Society of Advocates, the Johannesburg Bar, ruled that Mpofu had breached the bar's ethical code, though a separate inquiry by the National Legal Practice Council cleared him on an unprofessional conduct charge in June. In May 2021, Mpofu joined the defense of former President Jacob Zuma, who was facing newly reinstated corruption charges. He was appointed lead counsel in the corruption trial, replacing Muzi Sikhakhane, and he also advised Zuma's defense in the separate contempt of court trial, which saw Zuma imprisoned in July 2021. Mpofu has denied accusations that Zuma's strategy in the corruption trial amounts to a Stalingrad defense intended to delay prosecution indefinitely. Mpofu represented Busisiwe Mkhwebane in her application to interdict Parliament's attempt to institute impeachment proceedings against her and remove her from office as public protector. When that application failed, he continued to represent her during the impeachment proceedings instituted in Parliament's Section 194 inquiry, although he initially claimed that he would not participate in any of the illegal activities of the inquiry. Commentators accused Mpofu of applying Zuma's Stalingrad defense strategy to Mkhwebane's defense, attempting to stall the proceedings until late 2023, when Mkhwebane's constitutional term as public protector would lapse. Mpofu was also criticized by ANC, an opposition member of parliament, after an angry outburst against the inquiry's chairperson, Qubutile Dianki, in September 2022. He told Dianki, "You are not entitled to abuse me like you're abusing me. I'm senior to you in many ways. You have the power now, you can exercise it, but you'll pay one day." When asked whether he was threatening Dianki, Mpofu responded in the affirmative and then added, "Actually, it is not a threat, it is a promise." In late March 2023, Mkhwebane said that she had stopped giving instructions to Mpofu and his team because the Public Protector's Office had refused to pay any further legal fees on her behalf. In 2017, President Zuma announced that Mpofu had been appointed with immediate effect to serve on the Judicial Service Commission. Mpofu was nominated as one of two representatives of the General Council of the Bar of South Africa. Specifically, he was selected by Advocates for Transformation, a professional group which was entitled to indirect nomination on the commission and therefore to nominate one advocate to represent the bar. He was re-elected to a second two-year term in the seat in 2019. Mpofu was widely criticized for remarks he made in February 2022 when the commission was interviewing candidates to replace Mogoeng as Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court. In particular, during the interview of a female applicant, Judge Mandisa Maya, he used what was viewed as a lewd double entendre, saying that he and Maya had once spent a night together studying, he later clarified. In addition, in the phrase of the Mail and Guardian, Mpofu was viewed as having ambushed another of the applicants, Gauteng Judge President Dustin Mlambo, with questions about unsubstantiated sexual harassment rumors. The Pretoria Society of Advocates wrote to the General Counsel of the Bar to demand that Mpofu should be recalled from the commission and that his unacceptable and sexist remarks should be condemned. In addition, Adrian Basson of News 24 published an editorial which was highly critical of Mpofu's conduct, calling him a scoundrel, immoral, and a nincompoop, and which intensified the controversy by inviting a response from 20 other advocates, among them Dumisa Nchebeza, Nomgcobo Chiba, and Menzi Simelane, who accused Basson of attacking Mpofu with gratuitous insults typical of the colonial and barbaric attitude of whiteness towards Africans. In March 2022, Advocates for Transformation announced that Mpofu's term on the Judicial Service Commission had in fact expired on 10 February. The group had asked Mpofu to extend his tenure to maintain continuity until the Chief Justice interviews were finalized. His replacement was announced on 18 March. In early November 2013, Mpofu submitted a resignation letter to his local ANC branch in Saxon World and announced that he had joined the Economic Freedom Fighters, a breakaway party established by Julius Malema after his expulsion from the ANC. At the time, Mpofu was representing Marikana mine workers, a cause which he and Malema had reportedly collaborated. Indeed, the Mail and Guardian said that he had been doing Malema's bidding behind the scenes way before his announcement was made, helping in attempts at courting crucial leftist individuals to fill out structures of the organization. Upon his departure, Mpofu criticized the ANC pointedly, saying that the ANC's internal paralysis meant that it's a question of time before it renders itself irrelevant to the broader revolution. He said that the ANC had abandoned the Freedom Charter. Ahead of the 2014 general election, the first contested by the EFF, Mpofu stood as the EFF's candidate for election as Premier of Gauteng. He was therefore ranked first on the party's provincial list in the election, and he comfortably secured one of the 8 seats won by the EFF in the Gauteng provincial legislature. However, in the aftermath of the election, the EFF said that Mpofu had asked to decline his seat in order to concentrate on his work at the Marikana Commission and in building the EFF's organizational structures. In mid-December 2014, at the EFF's first national conference, Mpofu was elected unopposed as national chairperson of the EFF, serving under Malema as EFF president. In 2015, he established the party's National Disciplinary Committee. However, during his 5-year term in the party's office, he was recused from 2 of his responsibilities as party chairperson because of his hectic schedule as an advocate. In the 2019 general election, Mpofu again stood as a candidate. He was listed 3rd on the party list for the election to the National Assembly, both on the national list and in each of the 9 provincial constituencies. Although he therefore won the election seat in Parliament, he again declined to accept it and was not sworn in. As the end of his term as national chairperson approached, Mpofu ran for election to a high party office on a slate of candidates which also included Mandisa Mashego. When the party's second national conference opened on 14 December 2019, Mpofu declined a nomination to stand for re-election as national chairperson. Instead, he accepted a nomination to stand against the incumbent deputy president, Floyd Shivambu. However, he did not receive enough support from delegates to cross the 30% threshold for inclusion on the ballot. He was succeeded as national chairperson by Veronica Mente. He said that he was unbothered about the election result, saying that, as with Kgalema Motlante's challenge to Jacob Zuma at the ANC's 53rd National Conference, the point of this exercise was not to win, but to assert the principle that there's no position that is beyond contestation. In a debate in Parliament in 2019, President Cyril Ramaphosa stated that he had received intelligence reports claiming that the EFF was an M16 project. Ramaphosa was responding to accusations from Julius Malema that he had been an apartheid spy. Mpofu stated he would shut down the EFF if the claims turned out to be true, but shortly afterwards lost his position in the party leadership. After leaving the EFF, in November 2024, Dali Mpofu joined the Umkhonto weSizwe party. Mpofu and advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane have both been involved in high-profile controversies, which led the Legal Practice Council to charge them. Both advocates have pushed back against the LPC's charges, characterizing them as politically motivated attacks on their integrity. Their party, Umkhonto weSizwe, has condemned LPC's action as political persecution masked as professional oversight. They've called for the LPC to cease its politically motivated persecution of Mpofu and Mkhwebane. Mpofu faces 7 charges of alleged misconduct, 6 of which were lodged by the Center for the Advancement of the South African Constitution. These charges relate to his conduct during Parliament's inquiry into Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office, including his cross-examination of former public protector Thuli Madonsela. Mpofu has dismissed the charges as frivolous, laughable, and embarrassing, claiming they are a clear example of a witch hunt.